Hi everyone, Arsenal Fan Circle, another episode after the watch along. And really yesterday wasn't really in the mood to do the watch along, but I want to thank Stan for dragging me kicking and screaming. All right, you just have to mute that logo, whoever that is. Kicking and screaming. Oh, you, Stan? And it was Stan. I was going to give him the gaffle, Tony, to go. Hopes, thanks for joining us. And Tony, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Before Stan gets in here, well, he's right here now. All right, let's start off with Stan.
Sorry about that. I had a bad connection. Sorry about that. Yeah. So
we're still hearing a little bit of echo. Hopes
died on us.
I'm still here. I thought you were going to Stan or to myself.
You have to mute your device.
My device.
Yeah. All right, Stan. 3-0. 3-0. Okay, the first thing that hit me was the lineup. I was trying to figure out our forwards. And okay, it's 4-2-3-1. And I had Saka on the left and Nketiah on the right, which seems strange to me, and Aubameyang down the middle.
Yeah, that's
didn't
kind
pan out that way, Stan.
That's kind of how the lineup appeared on my phone when I got the notification that the lineup was out. And leading up to the game, the days before, talking to yourself, I kind of thought to myself, my head was thinking, maybe if, we're all starting from the same place, maybe with a little bit of luck, there's a possibility that we might be able to squeak out a draw, a cheeky 2-2 draw. But then before the match started, and I saw the two lineups, and I saw Man City's lineup and their bench, it just gave me like a proper reality check. So I quickly revised what I thought was going to happen. But looking at the lineup, it was a lineup that I think I didn't hear hardly no one predict that exact lineup, right?
Yeah.
But initially, I was kind of pleased when I saw the lineup because I was like, okay, it looks as if Aubameyang's being played through the middle. And obviously, if you're looking to get him to put pen to paper, it's time that I suppose, you want to sort of put him in his favoured position. I saw Saka and I thought, okay, it's same with Saka, young lad that we want to commit to the club. He's playing not as a left back, he's playing in his favoured position. Pablo Mari, I was glad he was in there because, this is a player that we have an option after the loan period to invest in. And I haven't seen too much of him personally. And I want to see these players. I want an opportunity to see them so I can make a judgment on whether they're worth investing in. So I was glad to see him starting as well. I was surprised to see that David Luiz wasn't starting next to him because it was only just on Monday, we heard Mikel Arteta really bigging him up about how much, they were touched on the contract and he was hoping that things could get sorted out. So when I didn't see him on the starting lineup and I saw him on the bench, I was a little bit surprised at that. And then the biggest omission was our number 10 and Joe Willock being put in his place. And, Mikel Arteta said after the game that the reasons that Mesut Ozil was left out of the game was for tactical reasons. And I thought about that and I thought to myself, well, we're talking about the player who is, he's our supposed best player and he's our highest best player. And these tactical reasons, whatever they were so tactical that for whatever reason, we couldn't fit him into a team that's just had its substitutions increased from 3 to 5. So the tactical reason thing, I didn't buy that whatsoever. Because we're now able to have 9 players on the bench, something like that, and we can't make room for our best and highest paid player. When the game started, though, I was surprised to see that Aubameyang wasn't playing through the middle; he was playing on the left, and it was Eddie Nketiah that was kind of playing through the middle, and Saka was playing out of position on the right.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was Aubameyang personally, I'd be thinking to myself, okay, on the one hand, I can understand sometimes you've got to make sacrifices for the team, especially when you've got another £50 million striker in the team. And you can understand that the manager's got to try and find a way to incorporate those resources. But there you are, you've got other teams maybe circling around looking for your signature. You're thinking about maybe committing yourself further to the club. You're 31 years old, and you're now making way for a young kid who's just come up through the academy. And no matter how talented or promising you think Eddie Nketiah is, he's not at the level that Aubameyang is. So I was quite surprised at that. That's my take on the starting lineup.
Yeah, Tony, you've got a player who we're trying to convince to sign a contract in Aubameyang, and like Stan said, we have a young kid who's doing well in Eddie Nketiah, taking his place up front, and to pour more on top of that, shades of Burnley away from home where Martinelli played on the right side, out of position for me. We have Saka playing on the right side where he has not been effective. He's never really played on the right side, has he, Tony? What do you make of that?
I don't know, it kind of baffled me why he's over there on the right, but when I seen the lineup, I did think Eddie was up be the lead striker.
I want to shout out to Steve Denham and Mobe Gunnar. Shout out to you for coming in to sort this stuff out. Hopes, what's your take on it? What was your feeling at the beginning of the game when you saw the lineup?
So, yeah, when I saw the lineup, I didn't think Nketiah was going to play on the right as a winger or on the left.
No.
No, not at all. I mean, he's never played there, so why are we going to play him there now?
Well, who did you think was going to play on the right side with that lineup?
I thought it was going to be Aubameyang,
right?
Because he has played there on previous occasions.
Yep.
But going back to what I thought about the lineup, I genuinely believe that Saka and Aubameyang were chosen for the wings so that they could provide, defensive cover and run back and try and also push back City's fullbacks.
Yep.
Now, I also thought that our left-handed side, you don't have to be Einstein to realise that has been our strongest partnership. So I think Mikel was trying to, think if he puts Saka there, then there's going to be some strength on the right-hand side again.
I see where you're coming from.
My eyebrows initially were raised because I thought, why would you want to spend? Sorry, my eyebrows were initially raised because I think, why would you want to put your £72 million player on the bench? And immediately because I've advocated this all season. Pepe has no defensive understanding of the game. Comes back to the 3 months homework that Arteta's been speaking about. After 3 months and then some training sessions, if Pepe still doesn't have an understanding about our, how to run back and so on and so forth, then what chance has he got next season? But that's a whole new topic. Now, with Aubameyang down the left-hand side, I thought, okay, that's fine. Him and Tierney, let's see if there's any connection. What I was surprised with was Willock. That was a massive statement. Does that definitely, I was thinking, does that definitely mean Ceballos is going back come the end of the season? We want nothing to do with him. I kind of think it was, I think having the benefit of hindsight now, I think Mikel was kind of saying, you know what, I think we're going to lose this game. So, Saka's got a contract coming up and, Nketiah and Willock maybe. Let me give them some game time. Let me see what they can do. Guendouzi, so I've got some clout in my locker. I think he was trying to keep everything
when contract time is coming up. Keep Saka in favour, keep Aubameyang in favour. But I understand what you're saying about putting Saka on the right side, put some quality out there, albeit without him playing on the left side at all.
I was also surprised at seeing Marie start, to be honest. You know, I would have thought Luiz would have started
Yeah.
only because since even prior to lockdown, Luiz has more games. Okay, I don't want to get into the whole error prone and who's better and all of that, but Mari's just come up. He's
Wow.
just come into the squad, and that was another big statement. Um, and then Guendouzi and Xhaka, I believe they just picked themselves. Because
Right. Yeah.
you needed that from when we played City in December, and they pushed our two CDMs back. I think that was let's try and hold that out. So yeah, overall, I think it was kind of like a weasel starting 11, started well the 10 anyway. Leno picked himself, so yeah,
All right.
that was my opinion on it.
All right, Rohan, I want to go to you next. You look like you're steaming a little bit there, Rohan.
So yeah, disgraceful performance yesterday, right? Like especially by David Luiz, and I want to come on this channel and apologize because earlier I had said that I'd keep Luiz out of the three senior centre backs, right? Mustafi and Socrates, and I said that because I genuinely think that he offers more going forward in the sense that he can play with the ball at his feet, which Socrates can't do, and we all know Colonel Mustard, right? So he does a Mustafi every now and then, but
Yeah.
that performance was abysmal. That's just not acceptable. And then he comes out and says that he's got 14 days left, and today we read reports of within 5 days he wants contract sorted out. What contract are you talking about? It's absolute hogwash, the performances that have been put in, throughout this season. And, I don't want to be, too jumpy. We need to understand that this was Man City, right?
Reactionary.
And this is Arsenal, which is in transition. We've got new players, new manager, who haven't played together for a while. And all of that, but how we down tools was just it was disappointing. We really wanted to show some intent. If we lost after showing intent, it would have been fine, but we just sort of gave up. When City was playing such a high line, when they were playing a high line, we could have got in behind them. I like what Saka did. Like in the first half, there was one time when he put in an early cross, which Ederson came and saved. It was a grounded cross, but that's the intent that was required. That guy was showing intent, and none of the other guys, if it wasn't for Leno, it would have been another 6-0.
Yeah. Then Leno definitely our man in the match. Hey, Stan, incorporate Stephen's comment in here to the next segment. What was up with Pepe? I was looking forward to seeing how he starts and how he looks, Stan.
Well, I mean, this is our record signing, but again, you have to remember that we were going into a game where Mikel Arteta was probably planning his 5 substitutions and how he would use those. Well, what happened was, the one thing that he couldn't legislate for was having to make 2 of those substitutions when he did, and probably in the areas that he had to make them.
Right in the middle of the team, yeah.
It's no coincidence that the 2 players that went off was our left-sided centre-back and our left-sided central midfielder.
Yeah.
And if you look at where the damage was done and where the goals sort of came from and where the problems came from, it was kind of in that area. It was in that kind of higher third on the right for Man City. So, you have to kind of take that into account. So, what I'm trying to get to there and to follow on to what Steve said in the chat box, maybe there was a plan originally that Pepe was going to make an appearance as one of the 5 substitutions and maybe use his pace and his ability when he felt that the time was right to bring him on.
Yeah, I think the plan may have been to pin their fullbacks back, like Hopes had said. Bring on some youth and energy to withstand the pace that Manchester City were going to come at us with. And we did the watch along, and we were doing, I want to say, okay. We had a couple of possible opportunities, Rohan. We had a couple of decent opportunities with Saka delivery into the box from a free kick. Mustafi almost getting on the end of it. Aubameyang having a perspective shot as well, and then Nketiah showing a little bit of danger as well, but that quickly dissipated with the injuries.
So I don't want to be Arteta out, or I'm not saying any of that, and I don't think any of us are, right? But we
No.
need to recognize, and I think we chatted about this, that we need to recognize when he has an off day, when he's still learning. Of course, he's learned from Pep, so he's not going to outdo Pep right now, right? I have faith in him,
Not
and
with the players that we have.
right, and but I was really surprised to see the lineup actually, in the sense that Lacazette is not playing, and then you have Nketiah who's playing up front. Why is he playing up front? Put Aubameyang up front then, right? And put Martinelli. What's happened to Martinelli since the Chelsea game? He's sort of been out of the squad. He was the bright star of our season, and we don't even see him featuring. Why wasn't like Pepe playing?
I actually think, Rohan, that Mikel Arteta picked he picked two teams for over 3 days, 3 or 4 days. So the players that did not play yesterday should and probably could play on Saturday. I'm talking about Pepe, I'm talking about Martinelli and Aubameyang.
I hope that's not the case, because he should have played the strongest 11. These guys haven't kicked a ball in 3 months. So what's the fatigue for? Why can't they play in 3 days? That's what we had to do when we were playing Champions League, right? We were playing Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then again Saturday or Sunday. So you had to play your best squad. That's what it's about. So he sort of needs to assess the whole situation, and I know there's just so much dynamics. I won't blame him. Credit to him that he didn't put Luis in the starting 11. He can't legislate for an injury and then he has to put him in. So understand that. But Pepe sort of needs to be there in the team in a City City pressed high, and the only team that I have seen City fearing is Liverpool when they drop back, because they know they're just devastating going forward. We have that sort of pace with Aubameyang, Pepe, and these guys, but we just didn't utilize it. We didn't put balls over the top. It was just it seemed like we were beaten even before the game started, and that's disappointing, right? After all the stuff that we've heard from Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, 3 months, waiting around 3 months during a pandemic, I give you that, but waiting, those players had time. And we're going to get into the players who maybe we're going to see did prepare and the players who did not prepare. The players who have followed Arteta's unconditionals and the players who have not. But Hopes, I want to go up to you and then Tony. Hopes, we're going to see we're seeing two philosophies here. Mikel Arteta is my suspicion that he's picking two teams for these two games, whereas a team like Sheffield United, they don't have the squad to do that, and they are going to play their best players week in, week out. Hopes.
First and foremost, to the panel member who issued an apology for putting Luis in his, one of three centre backs, I just want to say, yesterday we saw David Luiz, a seasoned pro, make a mistake that cost us a game, and I'm being suspect now with one of the panel members, of flipping in and out. I just want that to know.
We are human, just like those players are.
Exactly. So but I hold that esteemed panel member in high regard. So I'll wait for his analysis of Brighton before I'll see if I accept the apology or not. Now, what I'm thinking about these two teams, we don't have two teams. What's two teams? And we don't have
a
that
philosophy. We have a philosophy that I'm thinking Mikel Arteta is going to pick two teams, rotate them every other game. That's my belief.
I'm waiting to see that philosophy, because even yesterday, after the 30th minute, when we were started to be pinned back, I didn't see Plan B or Plan C.
No.
Again, I said on Thursday, I think it was Thursday's podcast or the last time I was on. There's reputations, and then there's facts. I'm not. All I'm seeing is we've picked up from the last, where we left off against West Ham. And where is all of this? Where is this philosophy? Now, let's assume for 1 second. Let's assume for 1 second there are two philosophies being played out here. Surely the team he played yesterday, Mikel Arteta played yesterday, that would be your team against Brighton, because you've got more young guns in there. Whereas with your experienced players, I mean, put it this way, today I had a thought on my daily walk, whilst Boris Johnson let me out for the day, was that if I was a Man City player and I saw that team lineup 1 hour before, and I saw, right, I'm the left back, and I'm running up against Saka. I'm Kevin De Bruyne. I'm Rodri, and I'm Laporte, and I've got Nketiah, or I'm Kevin De Bruyne, and I'm seeing that. Okay, what's in the middle? Guendouzi. If I blow at him, the man will like fly back to France. It's like it's not exactly intimidating, is it? And this is from a guy. This is from a guy, Mikel Arteta, who spent 4 years training under Pep at Man City, and not just training under Pep, but having given these players instructions. So if there are two philosophies, why would you play your weak and play? Why would you have Laka on the bench? Why would you have Ceballos come and play as a holding midfielder? And there were just, all right, mistakes happen. My panel member made a mistake by his claim, but then you rectify it. And I didn't see there was still 55 minutes we were being pressed for. I didn't see any changes being made. And even when he brought on Ceballos, why didn't he bring on Ainsley Maitland-Niles? Because he did that in the 70th and 75th anyway. And Ainsley Maitland-Niles is more of a defender. If we went out and we were like playing in a weasel way, why didn't he just start? Why didn't he just do 8-1-1? So yeah, I'm if they were going, just to summarise the answer to your question, if there were two teams, then that team he played, I would have played against Brighton, and I would have got your Lakas, your Pepes, and whoever to come in against this Man City team.
Hey Ryan, welcome to the podcast.
What's up?
I want to get to Stan next. Stan, as Hope said, you could pick any two of our defenders, and you don't know what you're getting. So to defend Rohan in his defense of David Luiz, it could be any two from 6, and we still would get Keystone defending like that, Stan. Atrocious.
As we go into this, right, and good evening, Ryan, for joining us. And I see Glenn has joined us in the chat box as well. And Glenn's asking if we started the thrashing of David Luiz and Ozil. No, you're just
warming up. We're just warming up.
Having some appetizers, Glenn. We've not got to the main course yet. Before as we unpack this, right, it's going to get uglier. It is going to get uglier. And I just want to say to our listeners out there, right, that it is possible to want and to will Mikel Arteta to do well as Arsenal manager, but at the same time to be able to critique if you see any failings in front of you. The two things are not mutually exclusive, all right? So, and the same can go for our young players as well. So I just want to caveat that before we unpack this. Right, but what was the original question that you asked me? Because I kind of veered off a little bit.
I was talking about any two centre backs from our Keystone crew of 6 or 7, and we don't know what we're getting. We don't know what kind of consistency we're getting. I want to ask you: was there a plan? Did Arteta have a plan? Did it go out the window?
Well, speaking of our defenders, when Rohan came in, he very have to say admirably, he apologised for the conversation that we had the last time. When, if you remember, I asked, out of the 3 defenders, Sokratis, Mustafi and Luiz, which one would you have to keep if you're looking at someone to work with young defenders that are coming up and perhaps, going to work with someone like William Saliba? And he went for David Luiz. And if you remember, I said Sokratis. And the reason I said Sokratis was I just went on averages. I looked at those 3 defenders. And for me, he's the one that has the least errors in him. That's purely it.
I'm the most unfashionable.
And I'm not saying that Socrates is going to be some great mentor to young defenders. And, and yesterday, David Luiz went out there and proved me exactly right. We're sort of getting into the David Luiz territory. But before we get into that, right, I thought the first 35 minutes or so, when I was watching it, I was also watching it on a watch-along. I didn't think we were too shabby,
Yeah.
We
were doing quite well for 30, 35 minutes. And then Ryan is going to kill me because I said quite prophetically, this is what has happened with this team. We do well till about 40, 41 minutes, and then we concede a goal. Stan.
But I was just saying, we did not look shabby. We were getting into their area. There was some good movement. And even when Granit Xhaka came off, which obviously was part of Mikel's original game plan, and Dani Ceballos came on, we still continued. We didn't look out of place yet. They were sitting back. It looked like they wanted us to come onto them and try and hit us on the break. And we were trying to take the game to them up until the second substitution.
Yeah. David Luiz. So 24 minutes of good stuff, or reasonably good stuff, is going to get X-rated now, Ryan.
Ryan, remember my mum's listening, right? She's going to be right, so.
I mean, and by the way, I'm apologizing. I'm like moving around. I look like a midget, and I'm trying to like a floating head. Anyways,
you just have to sit up, Ryan.
That's the sad part. I am sitting up. But anyways, yeah. So I don't even. I mean, I was very excited that Stan is on. I'm very excited to hear what Stan has to say. I mean, typical Arsenal. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, really, you could just have a podcast and just have all of us say typical Arsenal, and that's it, over. But
that wouldn't be very entertaining.
No, it wouldn't be. But I mean, in like 30 minutes, Stan's mom might have to turn this off. It'll get entertaining. But until then, again, typical Arsenal. And you guys kind of went over the lineup and everything, and I thought I had his like plan like out. Like I knew what he was gonna do. I was like, okay, I see what he's doing. In a way, sort of two teams, but like he wants to have the young guys just run at them because he knows these young guys are going to be fit. They're gonna be hungry. They're gonna want the game. Yep. And I don't think Pepe's fit enough, especially when I think he really wants Pepe for Brighton because we need to beat Brighton. They beat us 2-1 earlier in the season. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Anyways,
nice one, Brian.
I should like I'm getting a haircut when I was a kid. I needed to use like 2 white pages so I can cut my hair. Anyways, but yeah, so it's. I don't even know where I was. I'm thinking about.
That's okay. Arsenal throw you off, and Glenn just threw you off. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck though. I don't even need a cup. I'm just gonna drink right out of the carton.
No. Do you think that Arteta had a plan, Ryan, and that obviously went out the window with David Luiz and terrible defending for that goal?
Yeah, like I said, the young guys, the running, and I think. He also wanted to confuse Pep because he worked with Pep, and I think he game planned with Pep against us. So he kind of like knew what Pep was thinking. He kind of like was like, okay, I got to do a little something different. So I think he took fitness into account also, and kind of just said, okay, play some young guys, run at them, get them tired, and then we're gonna bring on Lacazette, we're gonna bring on Pepe, we're gonna bring on Martinelli. Did it work? No, but it is what it is. I mean, to be honest, like I didn't expect to win. Like I said 1-1 because I had a fucking horseshoe up my ass. Like I was hoping for something, but like we were never going to beat Man City. And I'm sorry that some people do not want to hear that, but we were never going to beat Man City. I don't understand where all this confidence came from. And I had a good analogy on the watch along. I don't want to go into it too much because Stan's mom's watching. But yeah, you can't. Just because we had 3 months off doesn't mean, like they're going to be good now. Like we're going to be better. We're going to like compete with Man City. Like this season, we were never competing with Man City. So why are we going to start now? Oh, because everybody was off 3 months. Like that doesn't make sense.
Stan, I'm going to give you the gaffle. You're going to control the podcast a little bit. I'm going to bring in Tanner. I'm going to drop out. I'm going to drop out into the comments. And Stan, you take over.
All right. All right, listen, Ryan, don't worry, mate. Let Ryan, if you need to let rip, you can let rip because my mum usually doesn't watch live. I usually send her a link. So obviously, once we've done this show and I run it through my quality assurance, I'll make
You'll be making a lot of edits. You
send
might
it
be
on.
making a lot of edits.
Don't worry. Sometimes I let rip, and I don't send to those ones either. So you know. So we got Tanner. He's coming in now. Right, Tanner.
I don't know.
So before we move too forward on and we get really crazy, right? Because I'm sure that this podcast is going to get a little bit more uglier. So we're just recapping, Tanner, and the lads here have gone over a little bit of their thoughts on the starting lineup. And so we've sort of like got up to the first, 30, 35 minutes of the game. So the first substitute's been made. You know, Xhaka's out the game. David Luiz should just come on the field. So let's go back a little bit because I'm interested to hear, you know, what your thoughts were when you saw the lineup and what you thought Mikel Arteta what his angle was.
I was a little disappointed when I saw the lineup at first because I wasn't real sure what he was doing, but I think the angle was to really try to hold on and tread water most of the game, probably till about the 60th minute. Hopefully try to run City ragged a little bit. Hey, Glenn, glad you're with us. And then, you know, maybe around the 60-minute mark, you know, bring on Pepe, bring on Laka, bring on, you know, Reece Nelson maybe. Basically bring on a little bit more speed with the exception of Lacazette because he's not he's not a blazer the way some of these other guys are. But I think the game plan, like I said, was to try to run them a little ragged and then, you know, try to catch them with some fresh legs towards the end and win the game in the last 15 to 20 minutes.
So when you got your little notification, and I'm sure like everybody else, you was waiting to get the lineup for this first live game, and you had to look at our lineup. What did you see that you liked? Was there anything that you saw that you thought, oh, I like that? And what did you see that you thought to yourself, oh, I wasn't expecting that. I'm not so sure.
I wasn't expecting Saka on the right. I'll tell you that.
That was weird.
It was a little weird to see Saka on the right. I think if I was surprised to see Eddie get the start over Laka up front. So I think I think it's got to be either Aubameyang leading the line up front or Lacazette. It's got to be one of those two right now. Only because you I don't want to say you have to play Aubameyang, but you kind of have to play Aubameyang. He's the goal scorer of the team at the moment, and so he's got to be in there. Tony, I think you had mentioned on Twitter at one point that, I mean, and you've said it before that he plays well out on the left, and you almost would rather see him out on the left than playing as a pure striker in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, the team stats are better with him out on the left.
Go ahead. Sorry, Tone. Say again.
Yeah, the team stats are better with him out on the left. We score more goals as a team with him out on the left.
Yeah. So I'm not horribly opposed to the idea of him being out on the left. I mean, let's face it. You know, the King of Kings here. He when he got moved to striker, and I'm talking about Henry for those that don't know who the King of Kings is, or anybody who's not overly religious like myself. He was moved out left, and that's where he flourished. Henry flourished out on the left side. He was not a middle of the pitch bona fide striker, at least by position, you know, as it was. So I was surprised to see Saka out on the right, and not Pepe, and that just goes to, I think, show a little the lack of confidence in Reece Nelson to start him, because those really are our two wide players for the right side. Saka is better on the left. He's proven that time and again. So, but it begs the question then, what do you do with Aubameyang? So those really were given the injuries, those really were the two. I think the biggest surprise
question, Ray,
was Saka being out on the right. I think was probably my biggest surprise.
You don't think, though, with Saka on the right, I think they just want to create more, and I think Reece Nelson doesn't create. I mean, he can, but he's more of like a guy that's going to work hard in the trenches and defend, whereas I think Saka's he could do that. He could do that as well. But Saka is more of a creative. He could get the ball down the line, he can make crosses, and I think, let's be honest, I think Saka's just a better player than Reece Nelson. So yeah, is he not in the right position? Yeah, but are you going to sit Aubameyang to put Saka on the left? You're not.
Exactly.
So it's like he's trying to put a puzzle piece together, and he's got a couple of the same pieces. He's missing a few pieces, and that that's just something we have to deal with. And to Glenn's point about, I guess I wasn't certain, but let's say Villa's going up against Liverpool. Am I certain they're going to lose? I mean, I guess I can't say 100% certainty. Van Dijk could get a red card in the first minute of the game and give him a penalty. Obviously there's things that happen, but I mean, when you look on the paper, Man City is a better team than we are. And we need to accept that.
Sorry, Ryan, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. You're good.
When I think about what Arteta's vision for the game was, that's kind of where I'm like, okay, but did you really think you were going to run City ragged? I mean, look at the depth. Look at the players that he's bringing off the bench. Look at the players that he, whether he started them or Sane coming off the bench, for crying out loud. Aguero coming off the bench, or be it Jesus if he would have, decided to switch him up. So that's kind of one of those. I'm not sure that was the right game plan. I think the game plan probably should have been, they're probably the best possession team in world football right now. Absorb the pressure, try to hit them on the counter, because their defense, I'm not going to say it stinks, but it doesn't smell pretty. And I think that would have been probably the way I would have gone. I would have just tried to absorb the pressure if I could and take my chances attacking when they presented themselves and try to hit on the counter. Because I think with this team, meaning Arsenal, meaning this squad right now, we're not good enough to try to hang with that City team and play their style against them. We're just not good enough. So
no, hold on. Sorry. I've got to come in here, right? Sorry, I've really got to come in here.
I didn't even know you were there.
I'm here. Right. Okay. Sorry. I can't listen to this. It's hurting my ears to listen. Right. Okay. First and foremost, Saka.
It's just frozen for me.
Right. Saka was not put on the right to create more chances. Fact, you've got a £74 million winger to create chances. Saka was put on the right to defend, to run back and defend. And I do not think for an iota of a second the game plan was ever to go and match City toe-to-toe, because if that was the game plan, you would not put Willock and Nketiah in that squad. 100% no. So sorry, I just had to get that in.
Look. That's a good thing on the right, man. I don't disagree with you there.
Look, here's my theory about the right-hand side, okay? Because when he made his late substitutions, I felt for sure that he was going to bring on Nicolas Pepe, right? And what did he do? He brought on Reece Nelson. And I've said on here before that my theory about the way that he sometimes goes to Reece Nelson over Pepe is that I think Mikel Arteta wants a winger to play the winger game the way that Reece Nelson does. And the way that Reece Nelson does is, Reece Nelson, when he plays on the right-hand side, he can take the ball around the inside of the player and keep the ball on the byline and work the ball up to that part of the pitch where you can either cross or lay off to someone who's running in. Whereas Nicolas Pepe, he gets a little bit past the halfway line when he has the ball, and he automatically wants to show it on his left-hand side, whether that's to come in and try and cut in or lay it off. And I've got a feeling, and I think yesterday, by not bringing on Nicolas Pepe and bringing on Reece Nelson, it kind of, for me, reinforced that's his style of play. Trouble is, you've probably got Nicolas Pepe being a more technical player, but he's not playing the position the way that he wants him to. Rohan, what's your thoughts on that?
See,
the Pepe, Reece Nelson, that right-hand side, why we're not seeing our 72 million record signing, coming on in a big game like this.
Yeah, and see, he is our record signing and he's here to stay. And I think that he has good things in him. So I don't know why he would persist with a player who wants to go out and that wasn't the plan. I think Hoops is right that he planned to go back. But the point is that against Man City, the only team that I have seen Man City scared of in the last few years is Liverpool. And the only reason why they were scared of Liverpool is because they play it fast. Against Liverpool, they drop back. And we've got that sort of pace. What is more disappointing is that we just went in there thinking like we're going to lose. We've just not putting in any effort in that manner and just playing players out of position to sort of get a result. And I don't think that that logic is also sound where we say that they're going to run out of steam with 5 substitutions. The last team you want to play is Man City. They've got a depth of the Marina Trench, I think, in terms of the quality that they have, the quality that was just coming on. And I'm like a little bit over City, like sort of just brushing us aside every time. If you look at like our last 6 games, they scored like 20 goals or something, and we scored 2. And it seems like they don't even treat us in the same zone. The last time Kevin De Bruyne said that they had like a session for 10 minutes where they discussed Arsenal tactics. That's it. That's the amount of disrespect that we get. There used to be times, I remember, where we would beat them one game, they would beat us one game, where we'd get one draw and they'd beat us one game. But now Man City is 2 losses every time, and we got outplayed at the Emirates. We got outplayed here. He had to use the pace. I wanted to see Pepe running in. I wanted to see Aubameyang up top. I wanted to see Saka on the left delivering the balls. That would have been proactive, and he just didn't do that.
Well, I want to go to Ryan next because we're getting to the stage in the first half now where we had to make the first substitution. But before I come to you, Ryan, on the Granit Xhaka incident, the injury, I just wanted to follow a little bit off of the back there of what Rohan was saying, and I kind of lost my train of thought now because this is the first time I've done hosting, and I'm trying to get my points over at the same time. So what was it now? I'll come back in a moment if I remember. So let's go to Ryan and let's talk about the Granit Xhaka bit. What did you think of that?
I actually, and I said this on the watch along, I actually wanted to see Xhaka play. I know, like I don't think I would ever speak those words, but when he got hurt, I was a little upset because I think that if he's gonna play his best football, it's gonna be without fans screaming obscenities at him or screaming for him to shoot, or just fans at the stadium in general saying whatever. So I think if he was gonna shine, it would have been today, and he obviously did it. So.
What did you actually make of the incident of what caused the injury? Anything?
I honestly didn't even see it. I was even talking to the guys. Right. Tanner said that he looked really bad, like a bad ankle, but I didn't even see it. So,
okay. So Tony, Danny Ceballos came on. Was you pleased to see that?
Yeah, I was pleased to see him. I'm always glad to not see Granit on the pitch.
That's normally how I feel, but if Arteta loves him so much, then let's see him play without fans, because I think that's the best we're going to see of him when we're playing without fans. But
and do we know how long he's going to be out for? Is that just a couple of weeks?
I heard he's going to return this campaign. I think he's going to return before the end of the season. So
early
to mid-July.
Yeah, I heard Ornstein had a tweet earlier today when he announced that Mari was done for the season, that they were hopeful that Xhaka would be back before the end of the season.
And just keeping on that, Tanner, what was your thoughts on Pablo Mari up until that point? I mean, we didn't really get to see that much of him. And again, I'm not really sure what the problem is with his injury, but the reports are saying that we ain't going to be seeing him again by the end of this season.
He's done for the year. He tore some ligaments in his ankle, so he's done for the season. He looked slow to me. I went back and I rewatched the first, until his injury. Went back and I rewatched, and he looked slow. I got to tell you, there was a guy on Twitter. I can't for the life of me remember who it was that said this. So I want to make sure that I'm not taking credit for it. But he said that when players were coming at him, meaning Pablo Mari, he was slow to adjust to their pace, and he wasn't really keeping up. Go ahead, Tom.
He hurt his ankle twice in a match. He hurt it like in the 5th or 6th minute too. He hurt it twice.
Yeah, I saw he was earlier in the match and kind of hobbling around, and then this. So
it's funny because I was reading that he played well over 100 games over there in Brazil without any form of injury.
Yeah,
and then he was in his first major start. But do you think that? Let me come to Hopes. Hopes, do you think that this was the? I said at the beginning that I was glad to see Pablo Mari, to see what he was all about. But in hindsight, do you think that for his first proper start for Arsenal, do you think that this was the right game to start him in, or do you think you should have kept him aside and maybe blooded him at the Brighton game?
Based on his reputation, as you just said, 100+ game, he was like, the Brazilian fans were saying, don't go, like you saved us and blah, blah, blah. He was absolutely the right choice based on his reputation. But for what he's done and, since he's been here and, okay, the pandemic came in the way, again, another bloody player at Arsenal Football Club whose reputation is bigger than what he's actually done for us. To be honest, I don't understand why Holding was not on that bench out of the 9 players. Again, was this naivety on Mikel Arteta's part? Already Luiz has got, he's spitting his dummy out the pram, and you're putting him on the bench. Well, why aren't you put Holding on the bench? Because between Luiz. Sorry.
I just said, how fit is Holding? I know that he was out.
He wasn't fit for Man City. That's why he's on the bench. He didn't make. He might not even make Brighton. They said so. I don't know. He's like if he.
I read today that he's looking that he'll be available for Brighton. But okay, for whatever reason, coming back to your question specifically, no, I think it was it was too big a game for him, and it showed. What again, going back to what we've been told over this pandemic, our boys are fit, they're ready to go, they're doing their homework. Well, really, I'm just getting worried about, again, Mikel Arteta talking the talk, but I need to see something. I really do.
And I think it's important that we should compartmentalise all of this and say that Mikel Arteta has only been the Arsenal manager for 5 months, and for 3 of those months he's been in lockdown, right? He's been in lockdown. There is a little bit of a plus side to it that he's getting to know his players on a more of a personal level, but he's not really having a chance to see them to see them putting his plans into action out on the pitch. So we get to the point now where Pablo Mari goes off and David Luiz makes his entrance. And you could almost, when he came on, if you watch it back now, and if you had an editing suite, you could really just mix in that clown music, that. This is when the show started, and for me, as I say, up until that point, I felt that we were being competitive. Let's put it like that. We were being competitive, and I still had hope that even if we lost, that we were going to give a good account of ourselves. So let's start with the David Luiz show, and let's start with the first goal, which to me, it was almost like, does he get an assist for that? Does that get marked down as a David Luiz assist? And does he get a bonus if he's on an assist bonus? Rohan, talk to me about David Luiz, that first goal.
What is up with that guy? What was that? What was that hit? Like, is he Shakira or something? Like, what was he doing out there? It was like abysmal, And right before halftime, we just had to go into halftime 0-0, and we could have built on something, right? If there was some sort of a plan that some of us are talking about, that would have come. This guy's an experienced player, but he's got, I don't know what it is, right? Like, because I saw a stat that he gave away a penalty, once in 100 games or something for Chelsea, but he gives away a penalty every 6.5 games for us, and he's got a red card every 300 games for Chelsea, but he gets one every 20 games for us or something. I don't know why this happens, and this might be a systematic issue, right? Because Czech used to be great, and then he came here and he was shit. So, is this a systematic issue? Is it us and not Luis, or is it Luis?
Luis has always been bad. He's always been prone to making mistakes. I wouldn't say penalties.
But they won titles with him. They won the Champions League with him. That guy has been a captain in a World Cup semi-final. How is he so brain dead?
How'd that semi-final go for him? I wonder. Anyways, but I.
Nope. Did he freeze?
All right, go on. Come
Yeah, I think you wrote down, Rohan. I'm with you 100%, man. I was reading something earlier.
He wanted from the get-go. He's always been prone. That you can't let him get off this scot-free.
Right, go back, mate. We lost you for a bit.
You got out some fierce there, Ryan.
Again.
I was just saying, like, he's been known to fuck up. Like, this isn't like new. This isn't like, oh my God, Luis, like, we were supposed to be so good, world class. Fuck that shit. Sorry.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by that, but the frequency of it. He's done it against Liverpool. He's done it against Chelsea, and he did it again today. Like, in this season, he's got what, like 2 red cards. He's conceded a penalty like 4 times. That's just unacceptable. He should be fined for that. First of all, when Mahrez took that touch, which was the second goal, we hadn't reached there, but let me just go there. When he took that touch, he got drawn to the ball like he's some fucking insect getting drawn to light. He just went there. Surprised he got turned. And then when he did get turned, let him go. Like, what was he doing? Why didn't he pull him back to the same thing that he did to Salah?
And I'm not surprised.
That's exactly right.
David Luiz and Arsenal defenders, it's like a perfect poisonous relationship. So obviously you're going to get chaos when that shit happens. I mean, it is what it is.
I started to say this, Ryan, before you came back in. I was reading a thing today, and a guy made a comment, and he said that David Luiz is good for this stuff. I'm paraphrasing here, but basically he can be a petulant child. He will do this almost to be vindictive. I mean, just think about that for a minute.
Not surprised.
I mean, and this is the one thing about this sport that drives me absolutely insane is these guys are professionals, and we hear confidence and, you have to handle them with kid gloves. And no, fuck you. You're making millions of dollars a year, and I have to handle you with kid gloves? Shut up. If I'm a coach, you're going to do what the fuck I tell you to do, or you can pack your bags and you can go to somewhere else. I don't care.
I think we know where to end the podcast for your mom.
I got to get better light here too. But I mean, if he's vindictive and this is what the hell he's going to do, then seriously, I don't care if Arsenal have to pay him for the rest of the season, and if they actually have to pay him for next season, pay him, and he doesn't ever see a shirt. You will watch this game from the confines of your living room, and that's it. You're not even going to get a ticket into the stadium.
Well, look, let's unpack this David Luiz situation, because there's a lot more to this, right? And the thing with David Luiz is that when he assisted the first goal, and the thing is with David Luiz for me is that when he does make a mistake in a game, you've lost him, because as soon as he made that mistake, I thought that's not going to be the end of it. He loses it, he gets really rash, and invariably, instead of trying to make up for it, he just causes more shit, causes more damage.
And I think that's why I like Mustafi so much, because I think Mustafi, like, he has like one Mustafi in him, and then it's like he plays really well, and then he'll just fuck up, and then that's it. Luis, he fucks up. It's like, all right, see you later.
Yeah, his head's gone. His head's gone. But I mean, it was only on Monday, right, that we heard Mikel Arteta really bigging him up. You know, we heard a little bit about that the contract was coming to an end. There was talks about whether it's going to be, reinstated. Mikel Arteta was talking how much he was happy with David Luiz. And so when I saw him on the subs bench, I was really surprised, because I was under the impression that David Luiz was one of Mikel Arteta's go-to guys. I kind of had the impression from when I've been hearing Mikel Arteta speak that he trusted David Luiz and felt that he could perhaps rely on him. And now, you know, when we get to after the match, and a lot of people are going, well, at least he came out and stood up. Do you know what I mean? He came out and stood up and took his responsibility. Did he fuck? He done a little bit of that, and then he swept it under the carpet, and then he started going on about his contract. And as he started talking about it, I kind of tuned out, and what I started hearing was the lyrics from that Snoop Dogg song, Gin and Juice. I got my mind on my money, and my money's on my mind. That's all I could get from what he was talking about. I'm like, what is he going on about? You know, I should have played. There was something that I should have done, and you know, the manager likes. I like being here, and the manager wants me. And so I started to unpack this. And for what I'm getting from this is, and I'm putting the dots together here. What I think has gone down here is that at some point they were happy to extend David Luiz's contract by one more year, because you got to remember that it wasn't so much Mikel Arteta that brought in David Luiz; it was Edu and Raul. So he was kind of like their guy. And I think what's happened is that they try to think to themselves, because this is pre-COVID, maybe we can get more than a one-year deal out of this club. Maybe we can try and get 2. And they dillied and they dallied, and they didn't put pen to paper. And they started talking about Benfica to try and, you know, make him a little bit more, you know, to make Arsenal feel that they needed to make a decision. And then what happened? COVID struck, and that's all off the table now. And I've got a feeling that maybe the one-year deal that he could have signed has now been taken off the table, and he's now thinking to himself, fuck, I should have just signed that instead of trying to get that other year and work this to my advantage. I think that because of that and this disruption, Mikel Arteta has probably decided that he's not going to use David Luiz now.
So the way that I understand it from James McNicholas, also of The Athletic, is that it was a 1+1 contract. The club had the option to pick up that year. So was the offer on the table? Did they say, hey, yeah, we're going to sign you? Because I don't think, at least according to McNicholas, if I understood him correctly, I don't think David Luiz had the option. I think it was a club option, and basically, which means if Arsenal say, we're picking, there is no offer. It is, no, you're going to be here again next year. We're picking up the option. You're going to be here. Not, oh, we want your option. Do you want to stay? I think it was just a club option, if I understood him correctly. So, but I also think along these lines, and I've kind of been seeing things on Twitter. One thing, like people are like, oh, you know, he's suspended for 3 matches, so he's not going to get an Arsenal jersey again because his contract ends. His contract's up on June 30th. These contracts are going to get extended through the end of the season. How many players have contracts that are going to expire June 30th? The FA, UEFA will extend these contracts through the ends of these seasons. So David Luiz is an Arsenal player until the end of this season. Just putting that out there.
Oh, for sure.
As I get attacked by my pillows.
No, for sure. I think that you're right. But I do think that maybe there was some kind of a play that was being made, and the COVID situation, the pandemic situation changed everything, and it kind of left him holding his dick in the wind a little bit. Hopes, David Luiz, what you saw yesterday.
Well, I think I came to understand why Rohan had him as his 3 top centre-backs for Arsenal, because he likened him to Shakira. So, you know, maybe there's a bit more clarity there. However, David Luiz, Stan, did you see that ball by Kevin De Bruyne in between 2 players? That was just pure class. And, you know, David Luiz, look, we know there's a mistake in him. You know, whether he's got a contract, who said what to him, end of the day, you're a professional. Prior to coming to Arsenal, you had a solid career. You know, you've won the Champions League, you know, you've won the Premier League, you know, you played as a CDM for Chelsea when they won the Premiership. You represent your national team. Anyone would expect more. You know, I can understand why Rohan had him in his 3 centre backs, so on and so forth. However, it's just another error-prone defender that we've got. I mean, I could talk all day about like this could have like if, but, who, when, why, and he said this and she said that, but the end, like for me, the quicker he's gone, the better. And I'll go on to say that's why I think Arsenal Football Club need to prioritise centre backs more than their holding midfielders, primarily because don't that back four or those back two will actually bark instructions to everyone around the pitch, I hope. And a 19-year-old Saliba ain't doing it, because I'm sorry, I've seen Pepe come in and I had high hopes for him, and I'm disappointed. And I just, Saliba, I hope he comes and he's the next Van Dijk, but he's not just going to do that overnight. Finally, I will say that Mikel Arteta is sounding like an Arsene Wenger in disguise. Like even today, the presser Mikel did earlier today, and he's saying, "Oh, he's my man. I'm 100% behind him." I'm like, are you mad? Like, who comes and all right? I'm not saying do a Mourinho, right, and just take him to the cleaners. No, but come on, man, credit where it's due. Now, if you don't have the courage to come out and say, look, he made a mistake, he atoned for it, he came out, and let's leave it there. But to go out and say to him, no, he's still my man, and I want him to stay. Like, Mikel, seriously, like, you're skating on very thin ice here. That's my take on it.
Did he say that? Because I heard the opposite. I heard when everything went down, he said, well, there was a reason why Luis didn't start. I haven't really read Twitter. I haven't really looked into it. Obviously, I should have. But, I mean, I didn't hear him necessarily back him after the whole thing. But I don't know.
So here's a task for you, Ryan. Afterwards, or just whilst we're on the press play, the first 3 minutes, he says, well, you know what I've just said. Mikel says what I've just said.
So here's the thing for me, though, with the David Luiz thing, because he said in his interview that, he's happy with the manager. I like being here. And the manager, he wants me to stay. And I listened to that and I thought to myself, who is he aiming that at? That's, to me, sounds like that's some kind of a message to Rao and his department. And I think what's happened here is, I don't think there's a situation where, let's say Mikel Arteta didn't want David Luiz to stay, and he'd be quite happy within his rights to get rid of him because he was never a Mikel Arteta player. He didn't bring him in. So if he went back to the board and said, look, we've had the one season, I don't want this guy, they would probably be thinking, did we do a wrong move? And that would be that. But for David Luiz to say, I'm happy with the manager and he's happy with me, that tells me that the board, for whatever reason, there's a problem there. And I think it's because they offered him 1 year. He wanted 2. The board weren't willing to stretch to that, especially in light of the criticism that they received for the alleged £24 million that the whole David Luiz deal cost us, including agents' fees and all of the rest of it. Tony?
I was happy to see Luiz on the bench because I hate seeing him on the right side. But to me, it's crazy to see all this happen 2 days after Arteta's glowing review of him, saying how good he is with the young players and how he does everything he asks. Then he comes in and screws up like he has all season. We could easily be in 4th or 5th place if it wasn't for his red cards and penalties and everything else he's given away.
And anybody else wanna say anything more regarding David Luiz and what happened yesterday, and even if you've got any thoughts on the future for David Luiz at Arsenal? Anyone?
Yeah, I'd like to come in and I'd like to say,
I'm gonna make a prediction, right? He's gonna leave, and then once he leaves, he's gonna say that the attitude at Arsenal is not good. They don't want to win. They're too friendly and all of that. This is the crap that's gonna come out. And if it is going to come out, let's just do that, right? But stop getting these Chelsea rejects to Arsenal and trying to be Chelsea. Chelsea has, and I'm going there. They are not in the Champions League. They've signed two players already, highly rated. Werner for 48 million. Is that a joke? Like, and we can't get our deal sorted. This club is just being run in an absolutely pathetic way, and everybody seems to be, and I don't want to go into a meltdown just because of one game. We were going to lose that game, or we could have lost that game, but it's just the manner in which that we've lost it is just disheartening. We had 5 substitutions, we didn't play it right. The player selection wasn't right. They didn't look energetic enough. Aubameyang also, he wasn't getting the service, but he wasn't leading the team like he should have, right? Like, he wasn't riling the team up. Nobody was. Everybody was timid. They all knew that they weren't. They didn't have the quality of Man City, and that's just unacceptable.
Well, let's go to Ryan next and Tanner on the same subject. But Ryan, do you not think that what on the back of what Rohan said there about the team was timid? As I said earlier, I felt that the first 30 minutes that we were being competitive. Do you think that when all of that happened with David Luiz, and especially now after the second incident, we've gone down a goal for a penalty. You've got to think of it in a way that if you're one of these young players that's come into the squad, and you've been working now with the team for the last month or so, listening to Mikel Arteta telling you how it's going to go in the game. This is what he wants you to do. This is what your buddy next year, this is what his job is. This is what you need to do with that guy. And you get to the day and then you see one of your teammates letting you down, basically. You're working hard for the first 30 minutes. You're hanging in there. And then you see your teammate, one individual, first of all, he he assists the goal. Then it's a penalty, and then he gets a red card. I mean, the effect that would probably have. And do you think that's a reason why people got timid? These youngsters can't handle that pressure. They go down to 10 man against City, and they just gave up the ghost.
Well, the first thing I will say was there's only one thing I disagree with what Rohan said, which mostly was amazing. But the one thing I disagree with you was the club is not run poorly. I just think it's not being ran. Period. I think there's just. I don't even know. I can't even explain it. I wish I could. I'd probably be making money somewhere else if I could explain it, but I can't. But I think I heard rumors too about how David Luiz is starting a clique, and that could be if that's a thing, then it sounds like it's a thing, because to me, growing up playing sports, I've always been told you're only as strong as your weakest link. I mean, just not even sports, just anything in general. And I think once David Luiz came on, and I think if all the rumors are true about the click and stuff.
Let's that click, right? Because I saw somebody, and we were talking in a group earlier. I don't know if you saw me. I sort of touched on, I'm going to say they're rumors, right? Because I've not heard it from the horse's mouth. But so if you want to go into that, feel free to tell us what you heard. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to go get another beer. So take the floor, Ryan.
Well, I heard it from a bunch of sources, essentially, that saying that David Luiz has done this. He did it in Chelsea, and he essentially starts a clique. And anytime he kind of is not happy with the manager or something like that, he kind of causes a little uprising. I'm not surprised. I don't want to classify this with a certain group of people, but it's happened with it. He's like a big rumor. Chelsea last year, it was when they had Willian, or was it Conte? I can't keep track of all their fucking managers. Willian was like a big instigator in the Chelsea dressing room, and he essentially got, I don't even remember if it was Conte or Sarri. I think it was Conte out, which I think Conte did a great job with them, but that's just my opinion, obviously.
And this is the Willian that we've been linked with. That's the last thing we
and that's exactly what I was gonna say, Stan. And that's someone that we're linked with and we're supposed to get. So it's it's not the best. But to me, I said this when we signed him. He is the Brazilian Liechtensteiner. We bought him in the club to be a leader, to kind of put people under his wing and kind of guide them. But he can't even guide himself. I'm telling you, man, he only stops at stop signs with the white border around it, or he doesn't, I think is what I meant to say. But still, guy's a mess. He can't, he trips over his own 2 feet, and it's depressing too to have a whole section about David Luiz, because we have Mustafi, we have Granit Xhaka, we have Ozil, or should I say Nozil, because he wasn't anywhere near the lineup. I mean, and that's like, I mean, yes, obviously David Luiz was like a big influence on the game, not in a good way, but like, then it's like we're talking about this whole situation, and then like I'm here listening to you guys talk, and then I'm thinking to myself, oh, like we still have Granit Xhaka, we still have Mustafi, who I'm actually not I don't terribly hate Mustafi, but I do. But yeah, we have Nozil. It's like it just the list just keeps going on. It almost reminds me of Billy Madison when Steve Buscemi is sitting in his bed, and Billy Madison calls him up and apologizes, and he crosses his name off. It's like, yeah, he crossed Billy Madison's name off. He still has like 5 or 6 motherfuckers on that list, and then he puts the lip.
I called that guy,
and he puts the lipstick on for measure. That's us. We're Steve Buscemi. We're the one putting the lipstick on.
Now, listen, it's important that we say, like, to people listening, we don't know if these rumors are true about the click. I also saw somebody talking about it, and from what I gather, the rumors, and that's all we're going to say that they kind of allude to the fact that this is something that he done at Chelsea, that he has a way of trying to get his own little group within the dressing room, so that if he's got a manager that doesn't, fawn over him and let him get his way, he has a little group where he can then start to marginalize that manager and start to sort of like go for a shift of power. I don't know if that's true, but the one thing I will say is that when I read these rumors, I did think to myself, well, it was only a few months ago when it was, before he left Chelsea to come to us, that hadn't he just negotiated a new contract? I don't know if he put pen to paper, but everybody looked all happy. Everybody was hugging and it was all smiles. And then it was almost like overnight, he was packed off out of Chelsea and turned up at our HR centre with his CV. Do you know what I mean? Ready for his interview and everything. Tanner, David Luiz.
He can go. I've had my rant on him. If this click thing is true, and I tend to lean towards it being relatively true because of what we heard with the falling out with Lampard. And I got to tell you, I said this on Twitter earlier today regarding Frank Lampard. He was always a player that I hated because of the jersey that he wore. But if he would have played for Arsenal, I would have absolutely loved him. He's just that player, you know.
What I heard was, just to go back on this click thing as well, the rumors went on to say that up until Monday, Mikel Arteta had really been pleased with David Luiz, hence his interview. And it was something, I think it was after the interview, he picked up, was made aware or discovered that this click was happening. And he went directly to Mikel Arteta, spoke about it, said that he wasn't going to have that. And that's the reason why he was frozen out. Again, I want to say to everyone listening, we don't know any of this to be true. We're just 6 guys on here shooting the breeze, talking about some of the things that we've heard, right? So, maybe there's truth to it, maybe there's not, but we'll maybe get some more in the coming days. Tanner?
If he's doing this, if he's starting this click, then they can go too. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really give a shit if Martinelli's one of them, because I would think that he is with the the country, the native country, being common for them. I hate to say that, but yeah. Now, if Luiz is,
thank you, Tanner. I didn't want to say it, but you did.
If this is really happening, then you got to get him out of the team as soon as possible before he does any more damage. Question is, how do you do that? How do you keep him away from the training facility, and keep him out of the stadium for home matches, things like that? And this is the one thing I don't understand about European football. I never hear of guys being cut. I never hear of a guy like in the middle of the season in a team saying, "You know what?
Nope,
I don't want you here. Go. We'll finish paying you. It's worth it to us for you to. It's worth it for us to pay you for you to go."
Yeah,
that's where I'm at with David Luiz right now.
Put them in the reserves, right?
Pay him for him to leave.
Yeah, imagine putting the reserves. There you go.
And the worrying thing is as well, we've got so many young players now in and around the squad, and you know what it must be like, right? You're a young guy, and all of a sudden you're hanging around in and around a World Cup winner, someone that's won the Champions League. You're going to be a little bit in awe, right? And that's man, you're impressionable, and it's quite easy to get led astray and do things or pick up bad habits.
You said World Cup winner. Were you talking about Mustafi, Stan?
Sorry, yeah, well,
I'm
yeah,
kidding. I was kidding, Stan. I know.
yeah. But him as well, right? Him, Socrates, and David Luiz with the bad habits. So look, Sorry, did you want to say something else there, Tanner?
Stan, let me hijack something real quick on Mustafi, and I've kind of been on this train. He makes really poor decisions. I get it. I know he does. But God bless him. This dude seems like he wants to be here. I see him out there, and man, oh man, you can't hit a woman, but boy, oh boy, you want to shake the shit out of him sometimes. And I want to grab him and I want to shake him like, what's wrong with you? What are you doing?
If there's any such thing as a fairy godmother or a guardian angel, that man's got it in abundance, man. Because he's still at Arsenal. He's still hanging in there.
You know what, man? I don't hate him. I don't hate him the way a lot of people do. God bless him.
He's a World Cup winner, Tanner. Come on. He's a World Cup winner. Come on.
You've been on this German kick now for like
dude. I've been on the German kick since came out of my mom's womb. I grew up German soccer all day. So
I'm not gonna jacket anymore here, and I got a puppy I think that might want to go do some business here. I'll be back.
So going back, can I just come in for David Luiz? I don't know if anyone noticed, like when David Luiz gave away that penalty, it was similar to when Tammy Abrahams against Chelsea went past him, and David Luiz's head, ego, what have you, just went and he took him out. And it was the same against Tammy Abraham. So to me, this is a second sign that David Luiz is quite obviously not the player he once was, and it's time to go. And in with regards to Mustafi, since his Chelsea bloop, which then led to David Luiz panicking, taking out Abrahams, and then getting sent off. Like Mustafi, he seems to be like turning a corner. It's early doors, but at least he's trying. And finally, it's not like we've got centre backs lining up. It's just a series of bad errors since Mr. Wenger, when he left, like back in 2017, it's just been a series of errors with our centre backs, and hopefully, whatever Mikel Arteta says, that we do actually look at getting in some quality centre backs, experienced with a bit of youth, just to balance it out.
I just want to say here. I'm just going to say here, I mean, so much negativity about David Luiz. The bottom line is that, David Luiz can just go F himself. That's what it is, really. Like, everybody's sort of saying the same thing. And, there's just so much negativity. Like, one day into the thing, like, we waited months. We've been, like, scratching at the bottom of the barrel, and then we get the game, and then all we can do is, for good reason, right? So I just want to sort of also ask, because and I'm also saying that because I have to like take your leave in like 5 minutes. I'll keep watching you guys. But were there any positives from the game? For me, let me say that Leno, as usual, he saved us from a 6-7-0, right? Leno, Tierney looked good. He had the ball and he could like sort of control the ball and stuff, but wasn't much going forward. Saka was one guy who tried, but that's it.
I mean, to be fair, Rowan, it could be a lot worse. You could be a Brazilian supporter, and you could have had David Luiz, and you could have lost 7-1 in the World Cup semifinal. But no, we're Arsenal fans, so it's a little better. It's a little better. But yeah, no, dude, Leno, I've been tooting his, we'll say horn, for the entire season. I am the biggest Leno fan. Obviously, grew up watching German soccer. I watched him at Leverkusen. I was a big fan then. I'm a big fan now. I think he's going to be great. His distribution, it needs to be a little better. But, I mean, he saves us. He gets us so many points. I mean, obviously he didn't get us any points today or yesterday. But if we don't do something soon as far as our outfield players, Bayern's going to take him. He's going to sweep him up. He's going to be gone to Germany.
It's never a good thing when your best player is your goalkeeper, for me. You know, that's extremely worrying. And as we're talking about Leno, that £22.5 million that or euros, whatever it was, that we spent on him, what a steal. I mean, you compare that to what Chelsea paid for their keeper. And if you look at the output of
I said in the watch along yesterday, he's like the most overrated goalie. I mean, Ederson, I don't think is that great either, but Kepa, oh my God.
I think we've got a gem there with Leno. But before we go on to the next subject, which is going to be the other big omission from the squad, I remembered the thing earlier, which I'd forgotten when Rohan was talking. And he was talking about City and, you know, about how teams sort of, you know, the way teams don't really respect Arsenal. And he reminded me of the last time that we played City. I think the last time we played City, I think it was Raheem Sterling, who'd been out injured. And it was at the time when everybody was clamouring for Phil Foden to get more minutes. This kid needs to get more minutes. And we go to play them. And that was the game that Pep chose, to bring back an injured player to give him time and to bring in a young kid to give him minutes. And he done that against Arsenal. And when I saw yesterday that they had that young 18-year-old playing in the centre of their defence, Garcia, for me, if I was Mikel Arteta, that would have been my team talk right there. I would have said, they don't even respect you. The last time we played them, they bring back injured players and they're working in a young kid. And today, they're putting out a young 18-year-old, do you know what I mean, against us. Are you going to take that? Are you having that? That would have been my team talk.
Oh, my God. His balls didn't even drop. He looked so young. Like, Guendouzi had the acne going on, I was like, yeah, Guendouzi, getting it, my man. And then I see Phil Foden. Dude, He's a hairless cat. Like, what's going on? Like, I was like, who is that? Like, that's like the ball boy, right? That's what I said. I don't think I said on the watch, but I was like, oh, who is this guy? And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I know that you got to go soon, Rohan. So before you go, and I'm going to bring this topic forward because I know that you probably want to have an opportunity to defend this gentleman, because I know that he's someone that you know that you really like, and that's Aubameyang. So before we go to Ozil, which I was going to do, let's talk about the captain of the day and what we thought about. We've already spoken about him playing out of position, and we've gone over that, and we've done that today from previous podcasts. But let's look at yesterday's game in isolation as an individual game. What was your thoughts on his play yesterday?
It wasn't good enough. But Aubameyang.
Has anyone found Aubameyang yet?
Aubameyang is a guy who feeds on service. He isn't a guy who's going to pick up the ball in midfield and run towards their defense and sort of create problems. He's just not that guy, and we can't expect him to be that guy. We all saw that clip of the two chances that he had, right, when the ball wasn't passed at the right time. And why wasn't that done? You know, those were easy balls that could have been, you know, played through for Aubameyang, but he didn't do that. And I've said this in previous podcasts that the real captain in this team, the in terms of captaincy quality or the attitude, unfortunately, is Xhaka. But unfortunately, again, he's a shit player. You know, that's his drawback. I mean, he's a good, like, he riles the team up. Aubameyang does not do that. Aubameyang is gonna like shake hands and stuff once he scores goals. But if he doesn't, he's not gonna shake hands. That's what he's gonna do. He's not gonna rile the team up.
So if you're a young guy playing for Arsenal and things are going bad and not going your way, and you look over to your captain, Aubameyang, are you going to get any inspiration?
I don't think so.
And that's been a problem. That's been a problem.
And that's how he is. You know, you can't hold it against him because he isn't a captain. So why are they making him a captain? He's a team player. He's playing out of position for a 31-year-old guy, for a world-class player, the only world-class player that he has. He's played out of position for an out-of-form Lacazette, and now he's played out of position for like a 20-year-old who hasn't scored even double digits in the Premier League. So, you know, he's doing that. He's doing his part. His part isn't to rile the team up. I mean, you have to find someone else. And, you know, all the blame can't be on him. You know, that's what I'm saying. And we just weren't clinical enough. There were times that we could have played to his strength, and we just didn't.
Hope, let me come to Hope, right? And I want to ask Hope this. What's your thoughts, hopes on the situation with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? He's 31 years old, and I can imagine that at the moment, other than Leno, as out of our outfield players, he's the one he's providing results in a way, right? If you look at last season and the beginning of this season, if it wasn't for him, we would probably be in a worse off place. So I can imagine that he's probably, he's got a contract that's going to be negotiated. And he's probably looking across at the highest paid player and thinking, okay, so let's look at his output and let's look at my output. If he's on 350 bags a week, then why aren't I on 350 a week? Well, 370 a week. And my question to you, Hopes, is that I know that you've got, like myself and also Rohan, that the game of football is about goals and he's our top goal scorer. But are we really in a position to perhaps bring those wages up to a parity to match someone like Mesut Ozil? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think we can risk losing him. I mean, one thing, unlike Ozil, he will deliver. He's delivered from the start. He's consistent. He gets the goals in. I agree with Rohan. He's not a captain. He plays too far forward. All he wants to do is go in and bang them in each week. And if he doesn't get the service, then he can't bang them in. And for that, it is kind of like an Ozil and Sanchez situation whereby we need them, so we need to pay them. If there were people queuing up who would do what he can do consistently, because I know Tony says Martinelli can do what Aubameyang does consistently, but again, it's not proven. Aubameyang is a proven striker. Week after week, year after year, you know what you're getting. And if we're going to be paying the likes of Mesut, we are paying Mesut, silly money to do nothing, then surely we can pay Aubameyang silly money to do a whole lot of stuff. I also think he was made captain primarily because of his rapport with fans and certain fan groups and fan channels, just to steady the ship. It's like Arsenal board are so desperate they throw their own mothers under the bus just to calm down the fans and make sure there's no anarchy. But overall, 31. He doesn't kind of fit our model. Again, it's a case of, because of our lack of proactiveness in the transfer market, it's come to this, that we are relying on a prolific 31-year-old to quite frankly hold us hostage, pay him what he wants. Let's keep him. If anything, our forwards will learn something from him. Finally, just one point, there was an opportunity for him to go in yesterday, get ahead of the City fullbacks, and it was Tierney who played the wrong ball. Now, I'm not calling out Tierney, but again, Aubameyang does so much for so little service. If we actually had a structure throughout that team, and whether you play him out and out or on the left, whatever, if he's in the right place, he will get those goals. I mean, okay, let's be pedantic. If any striker's in the right place, they'll get the right goals. No, with Aubameyang, he has got that extra, that get up and go, that prolificness. So where I stand with him, we got no choice, mate. You said it yourself. If we don't pay him, then we'll be talking about relegation rather than Europa League at the rate we're going. We need him.
Are you saying then? Am I right in hearing this? That you're saying that if he is saying to the bean counters, look, for what I give this team, I believe that I should be on a parity as our highest paid player. Are you saying that we should do that? I see Ryan's nodding.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll answer that. I say we have no choice. Definitely, 150%. We need to give him that. If he's saying what you've just said, then I say yes, give it to him, because he will give us an opportunity to, at least try and compete. He is one of our only hopes, and he will give us more than the other guy on the same amount he's giving us, and he's proven it week after week. So yes, 100%. Now the thing is here, okay, Arsenal Football Club could say, no, we're not going to give you the money and we're going to invest in 2 or 3 strikers and so on and so forth. No, they need time to come up to scratch. They need to get with the game. They need to form their partnerships. Mikel needs experience in there, like yesterday. We can't afford, he said it today in his presser, time is not that commodity you can afford in football. You need to be doing stuff now. And based on that, I would give it to him. He's willing as well. Let's just say Aubameyang going forward is one thing, but Aubameyang coming back, he's willing to run all over the park, and he has done consistently. So we got no choice, in my opinion.
So look, as you were saying all of that, Tony, your next door neighbour.
I was just gonna say, Tony, what's our plan B?
He might be one of those little dogs you see in the back window, those little toys, and they just sit there with the car, nodding. Tony, what's the deal here? You wasn't having it. What Hopes was saying there. What you feeling?
To me, 200,000's enough. He supposedly wants 300,000. He's on a 45,000 a goal bonus. Just go make 2 more goals and you're caught up and back to where you need to be. But to me, he's 31. We're looking at empty stadiums for probably another year at least. Why increase his wages?
But what would you do? What do you do instead? We have to fill that gap.
Just extend him to what his current deal is for another 2 years.
So hold on, Ryan. You're saying that if that's the conversation that's happening behind the scenes, you'd sanction putting him on a parity salary of Ozil as well.
I don't know, because I was so anti upping Aubameyang. I was like, no, we could do it. We have Lacazette. We could sign a young striker. We have Martinelli. But let's face facts. Like Hopes is completely right. He is the most consistent part of this team. He gets us all the goals. You can't. It's to me, it's almost like I feel like an idiot for thinking the other way, because it's it makes sense. He's consistent, and yes, he's 31, but has any part of his game really decreased in his age? So why assume it? And that's what I was doing. I was assuming. I was like, well, he's 31. He's gonna get worse. It's well, yeah, but we haven't seen it yet. So I don't know. But what I do want to say is, going back to the captain thing, what Rohan was saying, there's a big difference between being the most popular guy on a team and being a leader. Aubameyang is probably, I don't know if he's the most popular guy, but he's definitely one of the most popular guys on the team, not a leader. And I think we lose sight of that. And I think a lot of teams lose sight of that, because when you're growing up as a kid, when your team has to pick a captain, everyone wants to pick the most popular guy. Everyone likes Tony. He needs to be our captain. It's well, yeah, but if he can't, get in your shit and steer you right, then he's not good he's not going to be good at leading the team. And that's the thing too, is if you look back on some teams, the best captains were not well liked. Like Tony Adams, there was a few Arsenal players that did not like him, but they got along because they had to, and it's to make the machine work.
Because Tony Adams would have killed them.
I can see Rohan's chomping at the bit. And how are you for time? You all right?
Yeah, no. So I'm just gonna make this last point, and then I'll step out. So this whole Aubameyang thing, we aren't supposed to be accountants, and I know that all of us Arsenal fans are part-time accountants as well, but we don't need to be, right? It's the club's job to sort that out. He is the only world-class player that we have. We have to keep him, because right now this Arsenal team is unrecognizable. We don't have the defense. We used to have a midfield, and now we don't have a midfield. And the attack is only Aubameyang. We were going from defense to attack, and when I say attack, I mean Aubameyang, and that's how we scored goals. If we hadn't had his goals, we would be in big trouble. And I agree with the point that Charles made there, that there used to be a time when Arsenal midfield was a well-known midfield. It was a well-oiled midfield. We used to create goals. We used to score goals. But we've got too many players who just want to sort of play but not score goals. And Aubameyang is a guy who's going to score goals. He's been there in another league, beaten Lewandowski to the Golden Boot there. He's played in a below average Arsenal team, and he's won the Golden Boot here. why would you sell him? And if that means that you don't give him a base salary of 350, but you sort of make it lucrative, and I think he's mature enough to understand that, we can't on paper give you a base salary of this much, but we're going to make it up through incentives. I think he will take that, and make that as the base. But why should we care in any case, And I'm just going to lose my top, if, after Chelsea have signed Timo Werner, we go ahead and lose Aubameyang, because we can kiss Champions League football goodbye because everybody else is strengthening and we just seem to be going downhill. That being said, Saturday, Brighton, I remember the last Brighton game and we were pathetic. And that was the game that I tilted from Emery out to please help Emery. He needed help then. That's
Emery.
Yeah, Emery. Free hug for Emery. Yeah.
He was gone by that Brighton game.
Let me just ask a question. I just want to ask a question to the chat box while we're talking here. That question about Aubameyang and the wages. Okay, everyone in the chat box, if you're in charge and you're sanctioning the deal, would you be happy to increase Aubameyang's wages to put him on parity with Mesut Ozil? So
yeah,
I want to move.
That being said, I'm gonna take your leave. I really hope we're gonna win on Saturday. We want to see the strongest team. We've just got now 9 games in the league, and we've got a few in the FA Cup. We have to put our strongest team again and again. Go get this, and that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna catch you guys on Twitter, and then on Saturday. Yeah.
Shakira.
All right.
I want to ask a question there, Tanner. Rohan, the host is back. Let me ask my last question, and I'll hand back to our anchor. And my question was that Rohan, he mentioned about Aubameyang being world class, and I've heard that phrase sometimes is bandied about quite willy-nilly. Do you think that Aubameyang is world class? When I say world class, we're looking at that bracket that encompasses players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, Neymar, maybe Mbappe, or do you think that he comes into that little section that's just a little bit below world class? There's a lot of players that get into that little bracket.
Okay, so yeah, if we're putting the 4 players that you just mentioned and we're saying they are world class, and there's no argument there, they are.
Neymar. All right.
Who of that group is not world class?
I'm not a big Neymar guy, but that's just me. Whatever.
But that doesn't make him not world class, then, does it?
On the team in a heartbeat. What was that, Hope?
No, Ryan said that he doesn't class Neymar as world class, and I said it doesn't make him not world class, does it?
Yeah.
So,
still want to hear his name, I guess.
I'll put it this way: it could be if it's a small group that is world class, and it's just those 4 guys, because I don't think Aubameyang is in that class with them. Then you're right saying he comes in just underneath that. But that being said, when I think of world class, I think would he walk into any team in the world and be their number one name in the striker position for that club? And the only club that comes to my mind that he would not be is Bayern, because of Lewandowski. I think you'd have a discussion there.
But even then, I think Bayern could tweak their system to fit him.
And I'm not saying that would happen, because I think they would do exactly what Arsenal have done. If he were there, I think they just throw him out on the left. But I say that Aubameyang is world class because I think if I were putting together a team of the world class of the players that I think are world class, he's going to be in that team, because he's a guy that just flat out scores. That being said, and I kind of wish Rohan were still here. I don't know if he's watching, if he jumps in the comments, but you do not, under any circumstances, give him the money that you're giving Mesut Ozil without getting rid of Mesut Ozil. That said, I'm not giving anybody, based on what I've heard from this club or the things around this club, that contract, Ozil's contract, has handcuffed us now. Our wage bill is out of control. So the answer is no, I'm not giving him that money, simply because if I'm the guy sanctioning the deal, and it's this club, I'm not giving him the money because it's look at what Mesut Ozil's contract has done. We apparently can't do things we want to do because of his contract. So I'm not going to add another contract equal to it or give out even if I get rid of him, give out a contract of the same value. I'm just not. And I'm with what Tony said. He's got a goal bonus. How much more freaking money do you want to make? Come on. I mean, if he's on £45,000 per goal.
Yep, that's the bonus.
He scores 20 goals. We're talking upwards of break it down. He's over £500,000 a week. There's not a professional athlete in the world that I know makes that kind of money. Steph Curry, I don't think Steph Curry makes that kind of money. And as far as I know, he's the highest paid American athlete.
Is he gets paid more than baseball players?
He just signed a contract that's paying him like $40,000 or $40 million a year. No baseball players top that yet.
I think the highest basketball is $45 million now. I can't remember who has it, but it's $45 million.
Well, it might be Curry. It might have been what it was, $45 million. But the money thing, we're not a club like a Chelsea where the owner is just going to pump money into this club willy-nilly to win. And on the one hand, I love that about us. On the other hand, I hate that about us. And it's kind of like I kind of want to do things the right way, but at the same time, if the rules state that we can do what Chelsea and Abramovich do, then let's do it. Just do it. I'm not saying piss away money. Spend the money wisely, but get the money involved. But get the money out there. But Aubameyang, I wouldn't simply from what Ozil's contract has done to this club's wage bill. I wouldn't give Aubameyang that money. I'm not saying he's not worth it. I just wouldn't give it to him.
Well, look, Ray is back, our host. I enjoy wielding the power, but now that Ray is back, I'm just going to pass the infinity gauntlet back over to Ray. Have you got it?
Yeah.
Right. Ray, you have the power.
Hey, Stan, you did a great job. You told me
That's fine.
You had lots of notes today, so I felt confident with the overflow of guests in the panel that I could duck out, and you did admirably well.
Yeah, but they're
so big up yourself, Stan.
Nah, don't worry about it.
Big up yourself. Listen, let's just pick up the thread here. Aubameyang, it's his birthday today. Martinelli, it's his birthday today. 31 years old and 19 years old, respectively. We just had the conversation with Aubameyang. I don't think we're likely or wanting to spend more money on Aubameyang, particularly in the light of Mesut Ozil. And we all know there's been news about Mesut Ozil, but we don't need to go down that rabbit hole today. A conversation needs to be had about Aubameyang, and if he could do better in a better team versus the top six teams. His record is quite bad in the Premier League against the top teams. Is that just because, Stan, I'll go to you first, Stan, is that just because our team is so bad that he struggles a little bit more against better teams?
I don't know what it is. I mean, when I talk about Aubameyang, I hear a lot of people, when he does have a bad game, the usual go-to is, he didn't get enough service. Well, for me, we just mentioned about, is he a world-class striker? For me, world-class strikers can sometimes make goals for themselves. I was in another chat box just the other day, and somebody was in the chat box was talking about, and we should do this and do that, and Lacazette should be playing as a 10. I just thought to myself, it doesn't work like that, right? To play a 10, you've got to have incisive passing. You've got to have a whole wide range of passing. You've got to be dead on. It's got to be dead on, right? And Lacazette, for me, his best quality, he's one of those strikers that he doesn't score enough that we want, but the goals that he does score, he's got a canny knack of making goals for himself. He can be in a tight corner with players around him, and you're thinking, all right, where's this going to go? And somehow he'll end up wriggling away, and he'll get a shot off at the weirdest of angles, and invariably he can force the save or get the ball in. But I mean, I will say though, we're talking about strikers and numbers and stuff like that. Aubameyang, I just want to make a comparison there about as I touched on Lacazette. you know, Oliver Giroud had better numbers for me than
Oh, how dare you speak his name?
He had better numbers, right? And if you look at what we paid for both of them, there's a huge gap. You know, and the question that I asked, I'd like to answer it. I would not sanction the wages of Mesut Ozil for Aubameyang. And I don't care whether Ozil is still there or not. The day that we offered that contract, and someone touched on it earlier about, you know, we had to give Mesut Ozil that contract because of the Sanchez thing. At the time, I was like, get rid of them both. You don't have to appease people. You know, this isn't like some kind of a talent show, right? Votes. You got to do what's best. And I just don't think, as much as I love Aubameyang and the goals
Ryan, go on mute, Ryan.
As long as the goals are vital, I just don't see that we are in a position to go down that road again of sanctioning wages that high. It broke us when we done it with Mesut Ozil, and I said at the time, you watch, one day this is going to come back and bite us in the arse. And today, my arse is getting nibbled at.
All right, we have a cue here from Tony. He wants to say something. He puts his hand up. So Tony, go.
It started off everybody saying we couldn't ever sign another world-class player if we didn't keep both Ozil and Sanchez.
Yeah, I read.
Sanchez has scored 5 goals.
It would be entitled if we let 2 pretty decent, if not world-class players leave the club in the same window and in January as well. Yeah, good point. But Tanner, I wanted to ask you about the body language on Aubameyang. Yesterday's game didn't look so good.
I think the air just came out of the entire side after the Mari injury. I think that really just – so with that in mind, I am not going to sit here and harp on body language much. I mean, it can really be when you see a teammate get carted off like that, and you kind of know. You know, you're standing around him, you're hearing the medical staff, you know, and they're talking, and you kind of get a sense of how serious the injury is in the moment. Very much unlike us, we're, you know, sitting here watching on TV, and it can really take the air out of your wind, take the wind out of your sails. And I think that really is what happened, because up until that, as I think everybody here on the panel has said tonight, I think we were in it. They were starting to ramp it up. They were starting to take over. City were, but I think the Mari injury just kind of deflated us. And I think I would say that the body language at that point was just here we go again. You know, we can't keep 11 healthy bodies on the pitch. You know, this one that, you know, this sounds like it's pretty serious. And so I'm not going to harp too much on body language simply because of the injury. I thought we looked good. I really do in the first 20 minutes.
It's really good to see a familiar name coming back to the channel again. Yeltsin, good to see you. And Brian, are we blowing this out of proportion? We're in 9th place. We're starting our project. Manchester City are 2nd. They are a well-oiled machine. They've got players like Kevin De Bruyne. Are we blowing this out of proportion, Ryan?
Yes and no. I mean, it is Man City, so no. But yeah, in the fact that, like, you know, we have 2 injuries and we need to make moves. We need to do something, and the transfer window, given, you know, COVID and everything, like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who we're going to sign if we're going to sign anybody. So it's definitely a time to maybe not press the panic button, but like hover over it gently. But I just wanted to touch on Stan's point about, you know, we shouldn't be appeasing fans, or the club shouldn't be. I agree with you, but they're gonna. You know, we signed well, I can't even say his first name, Takuma Asano from some Japanese league. Yeah. He didn't even step foot in England. We signed him to sell jerseys in Japan. I hope I'm right with saying Japan. But yeah, like, that's what this club is. We want to make signings to get the team going and like Hopes was saying about how he thinks Aubameyang was appointed captain to suit certain fan channels, which I don't necessarily agree or disagree with. I don't really know that, but regardless, like, that's what we're gonna do, and I think that's why Ozil got the contract he did. And unfortunately, I don't think we can make the same mistake twice. But this club.
Hopes. Let's flip the script a little bit. We've been going a long time on this Manchester City. Let's talk about Brighton a little bit. What do you want to see on Saturday?
I want to see our philosophy. I want to see a style of play. Brighton's going to be a whole different game in so much as we're going to have more of the ball. We're going to have to try and break them down. They're going to try and come at us on a counter. So it's literally we have to do a 180 on our mentality. I don't want us to be stuck and not come up with ideas of how to score, i.e. think West Ham. You know, Brighton, yeah, they're on the ascendancy. They've got a good manager and yada, yada, yada. But look, we're Arsenal Football Club. Those players in our current side, okay, they got schooled at City, whatever. But against Brighton, this is a whole new ball game. And we are going to be seeing a lot more of that ball. And therefore, we need to make it count. We need to make them pay. We need to be switched on defensively. Our midfielders, our holding midfielders, need to be dispatching the ball. Our wingers, hopefully, will exploit the gaps behind their fullbacks. I hope to see Martinelli. I hope to see Laka and Pepe. I just hope to see something from Mikel Arteta now, because he's running out of life, and something needs to happen here.
He's starting to sound like previous managers we've had, but Tanner, he wanted me to go back to Harry's point here. Build this team from the back. We have young players up front. Upamecano, Ake, Partey, Decore. We need a spine.
I couldn't agree more. But I would say and not necessarily, Harry, I'm just going to change your wording a little bit because I agree with the sentiment wholeheartedly. But build through the middle. Build through the middle with two center halves, a defensive mid, an attacking mid. A true on attacking midfielder who is going to create for the guys in front of him. I saw that up there and I'm like, yep, that's exactly it. We need this club in the spine in so many ways, not just on the pitch, off it, when it comes to selling players, when it comes to buying players and say, no, we're Arsenal Football Club. If we want you bad enough, we're going to buy you. We're going to get you in here. We've got the money to do it, and it's going to get done.
Tony, is this the worst we're going to feel this season for the remainder of the season? This could be our worst result of the season.
Who knows with this group of guys? They could drop tools again and not play for Arteta. You never know with the players' mentality.
Stan, it looks like the young players are all at sea. Like they're trying to carry this team. We don't have the mentality of the established professional players helping them. That's what I see anyway. What do you think?
It did seem to me that I'm gonna identify Joe Willock for the example that for me it just looked like the game was really passing him by. But you got to look at it this way: if there's a reason why the manager decided that he couldn't pick Mesut Ozil, then what else is he going to do? He's got to put someone else in there. I was surprised that it wasn't Dani Ceballos, but look, he's giving this young lad a chance, and I'm all for putting them out there to see whether they can sink or swim instead of wrapping them up in cotton wool and continuously sending them out on loan and just hearing reports. I want to see it for myself. So the original question was, what am I looking for with the Brighton game? I think Hope's covered it most. Hope's kind of covered tactically, what we want to see. But for me, the most interesting things is when I see the lineup of the Brighton game, it may give me a little bit more clarity of what the idea was with the game that's just gone. Because, there's you're going to be looking for a few things. Is Mesut Ozil coming back into the team because of the tactical reasons, tactically fit him for this game? Is Nicolas Pepe, our most expensive player that we've invested in, has he been saved for this game? You know, is he going to continue playing Eddie through the middle, or is he going to, you know, jig that around and put Aubameyang through the middle instead? You know, it's really interesting. I just want to touch on this, on the Mesut Ozil, not his history, not his wages, none of that. More about what Mikel Arteta said in the press conference that was released today, because I listened to it really carefully, and I got it here. He said, it's quite telling. He said, I've just got to find it's right here. He said, I thought when I was coming in, I thought,
I'll hold your beer.
I thought that he was going to be. My Twitter feed's just gone totally up the spout here.
Yeah,
I'm right here, but he said, because I would like to get this point out.
Yep.
No, that's my Donald Trump impression, my Boris Johnson. Right, here we go. He said, I thought he was fit and willing to perform at this level. I thought he was. That tells me that turns out that that's not the case. He's not fit, but the line there is willing to perform at this level. He said the other thing he said was, the moment I see that he's ready to do that, he'll be treated just like anybody else.
Yeah. Well, and what that is telling me is he has not done the preparation required of him from Arteta in these times where we were doing Zoom calls, or he's not applying himself properly. And we've seen this not just through Arteta, but ever since Wenger's left. He's had issues with coaches, Emery and Lundberg too.
He's been given clean sheets. He's got given a clean sheet under Emery, got given a clean sheet under Freddie. He's now been given another clean sheet under Mikel. And it does kind of appear that he's kind of like he's just milking it. Do you know what I mean? He's not taking it seriously. And the most telling thing for me was we've just been off of 3 months of football. We had an interruption for 3 months. And in a week before we start, when everyone's gearing up and everyone's got eyes on the first game back, an important game, he sneaked out another interview which came out via The Athletic, again, telling us what we already knew and what he told us just a few weeks previous. He's not planning on going anywhere. I get it, Mizza. You're here for the death. You're not leaving. I don't know how many times or how many articles I've got to read you come out and say it, but I just thought it was so selfish that when the team was supposed to be galvanizing and coming together for the first game back, you know, a big game against Man City, Mesut wants to just make it all about him and his future. And I'm not going anywhere. Come rain, come shine, come good performance, come shit performance, I'm still here.
He's really having a laugh with his hopes, and to the extent that he's going to run down his contract till next year and walk away for free, and the club won't even be able to get any kind of transfer back. Hopes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like it's like a bad breakup. You just want to get rid of the other person, but you know she's taking you or he's taking you right through the courts, and it's you know, I mean, there's so many different way it goes. I mean, Tanner sort of summed it up well earlier on, saying, you know, I've never come across a football player where you just pay and say, right, okay, you know what, we've had enough with you, and thank you, this is the money, just go now. And, you know, with our board and the way they manage contracts and players and so on and so forth, they can't even buy a centre-back. You know, how they're going to manage this situation, it's just crap. And I believe before Mikel Arteta came in and during his negotiations, he knew already, he had some inclination, and something's been said, and Mikel's just trying to diplomatically manage the whole situation. But, you know, it's not even been 10 games. And as Stan said, oh, you know, I thought, you know, the quote Stan read out earlier about Mikel saying, I thought he was fit, or I thought he was something, or like he was ready, but I haven't seen something, or, you know, it speaks volumes. And again, it just, you know, the writing was on the wall. I think we spoke about it in the last show, that as soon as we lose, all of this stuff comes out. You know, it's just a sad state of affairs, and I think Tanner said it. You know, our board are just we just can't they just can't negotiate. You know. And this is like after 2 seasons with Raul now and Edu now coming in, like, you know, God knows what's going to happen during this window, like really.
And there's already musings about Mikel Arteta saying we need to dip into the transfer market. We need to do something. We can't stand still. Ryan, let's wrap. I'm going to go around the table here and wrap this up. Ryan, what do you want to see again on Saturday? Any other points you want to make, and give me your prediction for Saturday.
Well, I definitely want to see 3 points. I want to see us play. I do want to see us play our best team, although I don't know what our best team is. You know, with just again the puzzle and the duplicate pieces and the missing pieces. I don't know. I can't really make that determination. But we need to win. We must win. I know the last time we played Brighton, we lost 2-1. But hey, for Stan, Mesut got an assist. So he got his 1 assist of the season, I think, or I don't even fucking know. But yeah, it's just it's miserable, and yeah, that's about it. But I want to win.
I want to see Pepe and Martinelli. Martinelli is the first teenager to score 10+ goals in a season since Nicolas Anelka, 1998-99. So that's good breeding there, good pedigree.
Yeah, and this is the last thing I'm going to say. I just want to sum up and just say, Arsenal's making me feel very blue. Very blue.
Wow. Wow.
I had to do it. Once I made the Billy Madison comment, I just had to.
Hey, Ryan, there's a flurry of activity going on below the camera lens right now.
All right, Tyler, check it out.
Tina's getting excited.
I can't unsee this, by the
way. Tina's off to Walmart.
What's that?
Tina's going to Walmart.
Yeah, the car park.
Hey, listen, you better be proud of me. It better be the Walmart parking lot, okay? Not the post.
Better not be Kmart.
Yeah, it better be Kmart.
Tony, we're going over 2 hours.
Yep.
Tanner, what do you want to see Saturday? Who are you hoping to see? All of that. Any points you want to make from the previous 2 hours?
I'm kind of with Ryan on the. I don't really know right now what the best team is. So, to say I want to see Martinelli, I do. I want to see Martinelli in there. I want to see. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. I know what I want to see, which is
fuck yeah, you gotta see Martinelli.
I want to see a dominating performance. I want to see Arsenal Football Club go on the road and see. You're any Brighton fans that might be watching this. I mean, no offense when I say this, but you're the little seagulls. We're the Arsenal Football Club, and this is our game. And just
seagulls have done quite well against us in the last 2 years.
And enough of that. Enough of this. Like we're okay. We're not the most talented side in the Premier League. We're more talented than them. Go show it. And
I would love their 2 center backs. So was it Duffy and Dunk? Ooh.
I would love either one of them. Yep, give me either one.
Give me both. What do you mean one? Give me both.
Yeah, I'll take both.
All right.
But listen.
Yeah.
Talent. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that is probably the biggest culprit of Arsenal Football Club in the last 5 years is the talent just doesn't seem to work hard. They get out there and they just this has been the most entitled sports team that I've ever watched in my life. And I've been watching sports for 42 years, since before I popped out of my mother's belly. I've been watching sports. And this is the most entitled team. Like, they show up and they're like, hey, we're here. Can we have our 3 points now? I want to see heart. I want to see intensity. I want to see smarts. I want to see smarts because that's why we gave up 2 goals, because of idiocy. I just want to see smart, hard, intense, passionate football played, and I hope we get 3 points. If I see those things, I can live with the loss to Manchester City, taking a loss at Brighton, even if I think it's going to be hard to swallow.
Yeltsin says we're mid-table trying to put us in the top 6 or 8. There's no such thing. Only top 4. We are far off.
Can I just ask a quick question? Ryan said something, and it really triggered something in me. And he said, we're just putting pieces wherever they fit. Do you guys think Mikel Arteta knows what his best 11 is?
No.
Well, irrespective if they fit or not, but just park that for 1 minute.
Yeah.
But do you think that he knows?
Nope.
That's scary, isn't it?
It is and it isn't, but I don't think he knows what his best 11 is right now because I'll be honest, he just managed his 11th match.
I don't think any of us know the best 11 right now either. Like I don't think
and understand we've been watching this team a lot longer than what he has been because he was focused on.
I think he's still experimenting, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, Tony, give me your closing argument and give me in Hope's length style.
I just want to see us balls to a wall for 90 minutes. I want to see our attacking force out there. I want to see Pepe, Lacazette, Uber, whatever you want to call him.
Uber.
All right, Hope.
And Saka out there on the
We
way.
went 2 hours without doing this. Uber. Hopes, give me a Tony Turner style 1 sentence closing statement. Closing thoughts, 1 sentence.
We're going to win 21-0.
Hell yeah. That's the spirit.
All right, Stan, my co-host today, thanks for taking the gaffle. You get the final word. You get the honor of the final word. You had a lot to say at the beginning of the podcast. Do you have a lot to say tonight at the end?
We can't afford to drop any more points carelessly if we want to get to where we think we should be.
Yeah. Us privileged Arsenal fans think we should be higher than we are, and we need to get there. And we're asking a new coach who's starting out in the job, right, Tanner? 10, 11, 12 games into the job to do that for us. Perhaps a little bit unrealistic, Rohan, thanks for staying with us. I think we as Arsenal fans aren't sure where the blame lies right now. No unified person to blame after Wenger, and that's bad. Things need to change. Was this a good podcast, Dan? Did you get everything you needed off your chest?
I did. It's I was looking forward to football coming back, and then the way that it all turned out.
We got that.
Today,
yeah.
I was literally sat here today, constantly looking at my watch, ticking down the minutes until we could get on here, and I could just talk to you guys, man. And this is like my therapy session. I don't pay out money for some therapy bird to come and listen to my problems. I do it on here on a Thursday evening. So thank you for that. It was very cathartic.
In some way, shape, or form, it does help to talk about it amongst mates in this pandemic. This is the only way we can do it. And we even had Hopes joining us tonight and Ryan. So privileged company indeed.
We even had Shakira for a while.
Ryan's got the lipstick and Hope's got the fishnet tights.
And Shakira's got the hips. Shakira's got the hips.
You're muted, but that's
You're muted,
Shakira's got the hips.
You read lips on the last one.
I saw you got some assless chaps in my closet. I'm game, Hoops. Let's get it.
Oh, is that where they are, Ryan? Did I leave them at your place?
Wait, the red ones with the pink sparkles? Yeah, you did.
Yes. Damn it. Oh, God.
It says, "Come on, you Gunners!" Like right in the front, like right where the crotch is.
Anyway, everybody, we have to go out here. We will be back kind of directly after the game on Saturday. So come and join us then. We're gonna have hopefully we're gonna feel whatever we're feeling right after the game immediately afterwards.
Well, after the game, I'm going out on a boat. So I'm either gonna go drink my sorrows away or I'm gonna go celebrate. So watch, and you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a draw.
I got lipstick for you guys in case.
Are you going to drown Tony?
No, I would never.
I'll pay you.
Everybody, if you're new over here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you Saturday night. We lost against City, but we play the mighty Seagulls on Saturday. Let's get a win, 3 points. Until then, we're out here. Come on, you Gooners, up the Arsenal.